Hey everybody, welcome to Alpha the Podcast. We're back with another action-filled comic book loving week for you and for us. We're gonna recap, as always, what we read last week. We're gonna talk about some good news. Involves a little Rocket Raccoon. I won't say necessarily which one, but his
A
name's
certain
Rocket Raccoon.
raccoon.
If you wait a little while, he will say, "Don't worry."
Spoiler alerts. And we're gonna give you the upcoming. And next week is a big week, so we got a great episode in line for you guys. As always, I'm Joe, at Joe Lockboard on Twitter. We got Bing Lyle, are you 82?
Big
Lyle
Lyle
82.
He's not 82 years old.
I look great, don't I?
He's read 82 issues of Civil War every day for his whole life.
All day.
Nick
Rocky
Schneider.
style.
Right.
Eye of the tiger.
Civil War, I will get through you. And we have N. Schneider 7, Nicholas.
So,
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's been a fun-filled week.
Thank you for welcoming us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Get it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So I got sick this week, and I think it's total karma because I made fun of you on camera last week
Yeah.
being sick, and
How's it feel?
well, not good. My sinuses are a little bit sore. I've been sleeping a lot, so
It could be my fault. You can always blame it on me. Maybe I infected
Well, then we're gonna be talking about The Walking Dead soon enough. Nick, how are you? How was your week?
not too bad. I had a pretty decent one. Got a bunch of really good comics this week. So,
You did. You were all excited for Black Science. I'm sure you're gonna tell us
Yes.
about that pretty soon.
it. You're welcome.
thank you, Kyle.
Kind of the courier, kind of made that run for you.
Courier.
My analog and a good cover he was much into. Alright, so let's kick it off. As always, we start with the books we read in the past week. Nick, what'd you read this week? Tell us what's good.
Well, I'm going to start off with the not so big ones. I started off with Deadpool 24. Pretty much the very end of this whole arcing series with Age of Preston and Shield. They're going to be doing the dot now. So if you've heard good things about Deadpool, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you want to jump onto it next issue, probably they usually do it twice a week, but whichever the next dot now is, pick that one up if you want to get into it. The best ones now, Trial of Jean Grey is going on, so Guardians of the Galaxy, pretty much just doing the whole trial series on this one now. Then I also picked up Uncanny Avengers 17. And that book was absolutely amazing. Kyle, you also
So
read
good.
this.
You know what's funny is it was such a quick read, but it was so good. Like so much happening in every panel and a lot that didn't even need dialogue.
Yeah.
Biggest reaction
Crazy.
this week, shock factor. These guys were both like, "Oh, Uncanny Adventures, read it." It was
Every
pretty,
time you read that
no,
book, it's like,
every-
oh my god.
Trial of Trial of Jean Grey too. You've been all excited about that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and a lot of the series had the same thing going on with them, like just death. It's pretty much the biggest
Yeah.
theme this whole week.
That is pretty prevalent.
Right.
But you know, I feel like this week, if you had to rate all the books and all the deaths that happened, Uncanny Avengers just kind of like took everything and just, well, they blew up the whole Earth.
Yes.
So everybody's dead.
Spoiler alert.
Earth has been blown up. Captain America got like guillotined. Like, like okay, so this is kind of big.
For all that I loved about this comic, I don't know. You
once
think it's gonna
again-
tie into like
Well, they're playing around with a lot of like
Yeah.
time travel stuff.
Right.
Like Kang is involved, and they're showing like some of the future stuff, juxtaposing with what's going on now. So then, obviously, it's not all going to stick.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, there's going to be ramifications.
I mean, what's going to happen is now they've got, this is all done in Thor and Wasp, are pretty much the only people to still survive.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're going now to Planet X, which is a whole planet full of a bunch of X-Men and Magneto, and they're the only people left on Earth because Earth is gone. So Wasp, who's not an X-Men, tries to get into playing with, like, you know, all the still Earthlings, but not a mutant. So at the same time,
Right.
that's kind of what they're
Yeah,
playing.
she's like the last human alive.
Yeah.
And this ties in for me with the excitement of the Watcher we talked about last week and the upcoming Marvel event. 'Cause I can't wait till
They show the
having to
Watcher
read
in there.
freaking
Yeah.
He just kind of sits there like, wow, so the Earth is dead.
Yeah. Now he doesn't have to watch anything
He's like,
anymore.
whoa, got a lot more free time. Catch up on Game of Thrones.
I better start some hobbies pretty soon because all I've been doing
The
is
Watcher
watching.
whittling.
Yeah. Now the whittler. Just whittle that big headed gentleman.
Well, he just whittled the moon away to his own liking. Another one that I read that was absolutely incredible this week, which is always incredible once a week when it comes out, Hawkeye 15.
Loving the Hawkeye.
Found this out, the crossword on the front of the cover is actually a crossword.
Really?
Have to have answers
cool.
that you could find in there.
That's pretty funny.
It's funny until the last page when once again
Spoiler alert.
everybody pretty much Clint and his brother die.
Yeah.
They get shot in the head, but that also brings up the whole thing with every Marvel comic book. Are they really dead? I feel like we have this question every single week.
Is death permanent in comics?
Yeah,
Probably
not
not.
so much.
Really, you can't really worry about the spoiler alerts. We're like, Clint dies in this issue. Like, if you're not reading it, then screw you. You're gonna find out anyway. Sorry.
If you've been waiting this long to get into Hawkeye, then your fault.
Right. If you're not reading this book, read this book. Yeah, I haven't heard us talk a lot about it besides the first week, but Hawkeye is what's influencing a lot of the indie stuff going on right now, a lot of the new Marvel stuff coming out. It's Fraction, right?
Yeah, Fraction of David, I don't know how to pronounce
I think
it.
it's Asia.
Yeah, it's Asia, right?
But his art is the reason you read these books. The way he does these panels and puts it all together and just, it's absolutely incredible. And Mac Fraction, like, his writing, especially with Sex Criminals, if you're reading that, it's kind of in the same tone, if you will. So.
But the pulling out for Clinton's brother.
Yes.
Okay. Falling. He had a good run.
Get shot in the head.
issue run. Hopefully he comes back.
That's the thing I feel like that he will eventually, or something has to happen because of the guy who killed him is basically unknown and just showed up in the last 3 issues, and so it's probably going to tie more into what Kate's doing out in California and all that kind of stuff, and bring it all full circle.
Yeah, it's got to.
It'd be nice if it was like a Kill Bill type of scenario where he just sits in a coma, sees everybody in comic books starting to kill each other.
Hopefully not the continual rape thing, though.
Right.
Yeah.
We'd hope for that. Not that.
I mean, if it was, sure Clinton would like to.
Then the last book I got, Black Science. If you want to talk about fucking art in a book, holy hell, this artist is. I don't know where he finds the time to be able to put that much detail and precision into everything.
You convinced me to read this week. I bought Black Science. I'll talk about it when it's my turn. Mm-hmm. You're right, he does. A very epic. Yeah. Epic artwork.
Not even that, just remember, he knows how to just hit you when you're reading these characters and get you involved with them so quick. Right. And I don't know anybody as a writer who can get you involved in a character as quick as Remender does, and that's partly why I like him, especially when you read Uncanny, because now the whole last page with Thor and everything that happened in the last issue would hit you so much harder, and it was just those 2 books, and he really captured Thor. It's the same thing with all of these characters in Black Science, where when in this issue, the one guy basically gets ousted as being a coward and runs away and leaves the other guy to die, and he comes back, and it's the business guy, Kadir, I think his name is, and he comes back and it's just like, no, he told me to run, and instantly you're just going like, holy crap, this guy was willing to fight as hard as he could for his life and yours, and you just ran away to leave him to die. You're a piece of shit.
Black Science was awesome, and I'm pretty excited for that. I have to finish the 4th issue, but can't wait till it keeps coming out.
Mm-hmm. Remender's really hitting stride right now. I mean, he can't do anything wrong right
now. As we know from Nick's comics.
There's another book he's got out that
Deadly Class also came out
this
week.
Say,
that I have on my wish list and stuff to buy.
That's getting praised all over the place. His Captain America run is good. He's a man right now.
All the time. He is firing on all cylinders. Well, Nick's that take us through? That
that was it for pretty much me, yeah.
Good books. Because it was kind of a shorter week last week, so.
It was shorter as the amount of books that I bought, but overall, the quality you got was incredible.
Very high.
Well,
what do you have, sir?
I had some good stuff. I read Black Science. I bought all 4, though, so.
You did a lot of catch-up this week.
I did. A lot of mine was okay, I knew it was a slower week. The only thing I really had on my radar was Fantastic Four and Dead Body Road, which I've been reading from the beginning, but because I had a slow week, I'm like, I'll catch up. Black Science is only on number 4, so I bought 1 through 4. I did the same with Amazing X-Men. Black Science, I was stunned, really good. I really appreciate Nick's recommendation on that. Amazing X-Men really paid off that I made you guys not talk about it at all, because I love it now. I'm totally hooked on Amazing X-Men.
Wasn't that a Crazy Feels panel when he's in the snow and
Yeah, it was. No, you know what though? I like how it's a little bit silly. It's kind of this Paul
it's like the olden times of comics where it wasn't so we have to save the world.
John Milton meets X-Men and throw a little bit of Nightcrawler humor in there.
Old school fun.
Right. I was awesome. Heaven and Hell, sailing pirate ships on the river Styx. What can go wrong with a comic book like this? Dead Body Row #3 came out. This is something that's been just killing it. We were looking up earlier. Scalera is the illustrator on this. He's the same illustrator that's doing Life Science.
Yep.
Right? So same illustrator for his epic panels. He's making the rogue cop like Dead Body Row got pretty crazy this week. He's roped up with this renegade woman. Like he's trying to track down this hacker, and he killed him already, and he got stuck with his girlfriend, and they got into some trouble this week. And it was pretty cool. Pretty interesting standoff in a hotel room. Fantastic Four #1, very good reboot. Really like this issue. I think I'm the only one that read this, right? You guys figured it out.
Before we came on, I just grabbed it real quick and read it. It had like that same kind of old school feel that we were talking about, like
For sure.
the dialogue read not in a bad way, but it read like older, like the kind of like classic Marvel. Like it made you really feel like, man, this is how I read as a kid.
Oh right, totally. Fing Fang Foom was the giant fight in Manhattan, outside the Baxter Building. It's clobbering time.
I know the Thing had like his crazy New York, like Ice Beast doing this, Reed.
Yeah.
Boom!
Which is awesome.
Just campy, pretty much.
Oh no, that.
But not to the point where it's bad.
Classic.
Like that nostalgic. Yeah.
Right. So good. I really like the tone of this book. I thought it started off a little bit depressing. Sue Storm had that like beginning. Like it looked like Reed was like washed out and couldn't do science anymore. It looked like the Thing was in jail. It looked like
I love the way you phrased that.
He cannot make science. Yeah, he's like, well, I mean, that image was to see him with his arms like loosely in his lap.
Walter White without one
Reed
chemistry
don't know
lesson.
what to do. I mean, Reed Richards is, in my mind, I like reading the Ant-Man and Reed Richards and Iron Man stories because there's always that element of like, oh, my superpower is cool, but I'm also really fucking smart. Listen to me. Great book, though. I'm getting sidetracked. Really interesting ending. I think it's going to be a good series. It's definitely way better than the Marvel Now.
Yeah. It was nice to bring them kind of back to, like, they're New York City based, the family, not doing this crazy. I mean, Cosmic is cool, but maybe a little bit too much in the last run.
Yeah, and the end zone stuff, like, it's been done so
That's the thing.
much.
Hickman did so much with that it was like, okay, let's kind of get back to something else.
The negative zone's cool, but the positive zone is also pretty awesome. The reality's good too. I like it. I'm gonna pick up #2 and the rest. Picked up a bunch of randoms this week. One of them was called Crimson Legends, which is a promo book. If you have Comixology, it's only $1 on there. Pretty cool #1. That's a independent book. Interesting kind of like samurai, renegade warrior story. But the thing that blew me away this week was a book called The Remains, #1. It's on Monkey Brain Comics. Cullen's writing this book. He's the same guy that wrote Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. And he also wrote
He's writing Magneto.
too. Yeah.
He's doing the Sinestro book too for DC.
He's an independent guy.
Just jumping ship everywhere we can.
I looked him up on the internet today, and it looked like he lived in like Missouri or something, Midwest, and he just freelances there.
Yeah, it's funny. Like he during like the Fear itself, like a couple events ago for Marvel, he became like kind of their pinch hitter for like when someone would need to kind of step off a series, he'd kind of come in, and he built a lot of cred doing that. And now he's just blowing up.
Dude, awesome! This book was great, man. The Remains was like this occult farm story where this like stranger who might be the devil comes to this farm and like kind of torments these two young girls. And like nothing happens in the book. Like through 30 pages, the only thing that happens is like rats die and then come back to life. But the intricacies and the short, oh my god, the shortcomings in the panels, dude. Really cool one. The Remains #1. I think it's only $2. Check it out. And that was pretty much it. Then I just caught up on like Sex Criminals and some of the good old reads. I was 6. I read a lot. Those are the days.
The only benefit is when you can just shut the world off and be like, I'm going to do whatever I want. So I don't have to go out into society.
We don't have a segment for Marvel Unlimited, but we all have this too. And I got to interject right now. Yeah, we should.
It is so worth the money. Like we're always praising the .now is a great deal. Marvel Unlimited, fantastic deal.
Right. The weeks like this when I was sick, these were my new readings, but oh my god, you should see what I read on Unlimited. We'd have to fill a whole other podcast.
Plus, it has this really cool gift option where if you know somebody who reads a lot of comics, you can gift it to them.
Oh, like this guy did for me. My new thing. Kyle, what did you read this week? Was it wonderful?
It was wondrous. One of the books that I can't believe I forgot last week, so I apologize. I thought it was coming out the week after. Is the Daredevil Infinite comic, Road Warrior. And this is bridging between the end of the first series, the beginning of the new one, showing him going from New York to San Francisco. And the Infinite Comics, like if you haven't checked them out, they're a really cool way to read comics because they take you kind of panel by panel, action shot by action shot. So they'll fill in, like here's a picture, and then they'll fill in a little caption box, and then another caption box. So it walks you through the way the writer and the artist want you to read the book.
Yeah,
I've been reading guided view.
I've been reading these. I've been doing with Deadpool ones, and it's pretty much they come out Tuesdays instead of Wednesdays, so it's a day earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I love just downloading them, and then when I get to lunch at work, because the format works so well for your phone.
It works on any kind of device you're
yeah.
using. That's the great thing about it. And again, especially for people like my wife, sometimes will say like it's harder for her to know because some comics are very straightforward. They can go A, B, C. Some of them have the more intricate like Hawkeye and Daredevil. They do things that are a little more creative with the way the pages are laid out. And sometimes you say, I get lost in the art.
Right.
Whereas these books, they take you right along the journey.
Right.
Which is kind of nice for people, especially getting into comics for the first time.
Especially because the Daredevil Road Warrior. It was he's in a bus or something, right? He's in like a claustrophobic.
He's in a plane.
Right. So
he talks about how like for me this is like hell on earth.
Right.
It's just the noise of the plane and then everyone in there like heartbeats and they have technical issues so they have to like emergency land the plane and all he hears is like 300 heartbeats just so he's losing his mind.
The funny part of that is it's kind of playing on the comic book view. You know, it's like you can track these panels. That's I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wanted to get that. I'm excited to buy it.
I can't believe I forgot it. So as soon as I checked on today, I'm like, oh damn it. Oh, well.
To be honest, I'm one of those people that I've never read the native view ones. I'm like, I kind of just skipped them. I think they're going to be, for some reason, less content, more like, I guess, context.
They are pretty good.
I'm sure there's a way to make it that way, but the way that they do it now, it guides you.
Once you click onto it, you'll be like, oh, this is great.
No, we're talking about it. I'm sure I'm going to buy it right after this.
So yeah, so that was the first read. Uncanny Avengers, kind of touched on it before. Just amazing. Nothing really more to say. Guardians of the Galaxy, also really good. Superior Spider-Man 28, still rolling with this Goblin takeover. I mean, at this point, I don't know how it's going to really resolve. Like, I keep saying, like, I can't see an out for Parker, which I like. I have no idea how he's going to pull this off. Because he's left in just... Doc Ock was getting, like, a hint that he was there, so he kind of dove into his Doc Ock memories to hide. So now Parker's, like, losing his identity even more because he's forced to kind of go through this whole progression of memories. So he thinks he's Otto and just... It's crazy.
I think it'll end with that Doc Ock fight and him kissing Mary Jane right from his back, you know?
I don't know. All that was purged. That was the first thing Doc Ock did.
Yeah, true. I read up to that. This is one or something.
Yeah. The only memories that remain are the ones that Dr. Octopus looked at to have reference for things he needed.
That actually just happened where we are in Unlimited.
Yeah.
Only downfall about Unlimited is they come out.
Especially the books that are double shipping. You're always like way far behind. But I mean, it's still good. I mean, this episode or issue, we always call them episodes. This issue didn't have as much action. It wasn't as like, oh shit, as the last one, but it was still good. I mean, I'm excited for the change. I think the Superior Spider-Man experiment has worked out wonderfully for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the cover too with just Goblin playing with his chest. So you know it's not going to be that action-packed.
So that was good. Indestructible Hulk, that's getting ready to wrap up and relaunch, and kind of the same way Daredevil is, also written by Mark Waid. That's tying in more to the Inhumans thing, where the mists came out and the new Inhumans are popping up. So Hulk's dealing with that and having his battles with S.H.I.E.L.D., who he's now working for. Let's see, Aquaman 28, I talked about it last time. Wasn't as good of an issue. I knew I was giving myself a kiss of death. I talked it up. This issue wasn't so great, but it wasn't bad. Jeff Parker came over from Marvel primarily and is writing this now to go from Jeff Johns, and he's still kind of finding his legs on it. So
this is one of those Game of Thrones episodes where you have to watch the Pudgy Kid for like 20 minutes. You're like, come on.
Yeah, this was more of like a character progression more than a story progression issue. So still good, but not great.
You missed last week's episode when we referenced Game of Thrones Aquaman, so they're similar. So hence the Game of Thrones reference again.
Flash 28 is getting ready to do a switch over to creative teams. This is another kind of fill-in issue, not really worth your time. If you're going to jump on, 2 issues from now is where you want to jump on. New creative team, they're bringing back Wally West.
Oh, nice.
Who is a character that if you had been in the comics before, you've been clamoring for. If you're new to comics, he's an awesome character. It's going to be a really good time to jump on. Justice League Dark 28 was continuing the tie-in to Forever Evil. And then Forever Evil Argus, again, filling that in. Way too much for me to try and catch you guys up on. If you're not already into Forever Evil, these are perfectly fine to skip over.
Right.
They're just kind of telling you the ancillary tales around the main Forever Evil storyline.
Throw some spoilers out there for the internet. It's fun.
Really not a lot happened. I mean,
quick Justice League note: if you're into JLA at all, some of the older Justice Leagues, they are on sale right now in Comics on under 99 cents. Pick those up.
In Justice League Dark, they're still right now. The magical heroes have been gathered together by the crime syndicate because there's some sort of like universally huge threat that destroyed their universe and has now followed them to ours. They're taking all the magic heroes together, basically tapping into their energy and creating like a Manhattan Project type weapon using the magic characters. So the Justice League Dark team, primarily Constantine, who is getting his own series soon, coming from DC.
I did see that coming.
He's leading a few of the heroes that survived to try and break them out and free everybody. And then Forever Argus is following another path. Kind of like the Shield of the Marvel or the DC world,
right?
Is Argus, and they're trying to free the Justice League who are trapped.
I mean, it sounds cool. Cool, man.
The only problem, and I talked about this last time, is Marvel is so good at connecting everything through in an organic way, where you feel like even if you're not reading everything, you still know what's going on. And DC doesn't do that very well. Like Forever Evil right now, the main series, if you're not reading all this stuff, you really have no idea what's going on. You're getting just a small snapshot of it. Whereas like Infinity felt like a real complete story. And it pisses me off because DC's done it so well in the past. And with this one, if you're not reading all this stuff, you don't really know the whole story.
Right.
And it just demands that you spend a shit ton of money.
Right. It's hard for me to get into Forever Evil because I already don't buy a lot of the DC books. So I'm like, I'm actually going to jump in and spend like $50 on a series that Kyle always says is mediocre. You know?
That's the thing.
When you tell me about a comic,
the main Forever Evil series is really good.
Right.
The ancillary series are hit and miss, but they all have information that if you're like I am and you're invested in the universe, you have to be reading it, or you just kind of have to say like I'm done.
Right.
It's one or the other. You're either all in or all out, and that can be difficult because it's a lot of money.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. Forever Evil. Forever Evil is money. That's what's really
the root of all.
So that was a good week, though. You know, it was a kind of a shorter week. We're gonna kill it with our previews for next week, but before we get to that, we're gonna launch right into the news. Got some cool stuff. I thought we kind of blew our load with the big news of last week, but
no,
we're back. Rocket Raccoon coming out as a solo ongoing series. Are we excited?
Oh yeah,
totally excited.
Dude, Rocket Raccoon is one flips that we had pretty much every week. We make up bland jokes stuff. Good for him. Can't wait.
And I'm really pumped that Scotty Young is doing it. If you don't know Scotty Young, he does a lot of the variant covers for Marvel. He does like the baby covers. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
Where, like they do like the baby version of like
every
cover
of Deadpool is like the baby Deadpool.
Yeah. Or like they show the Avengers with like Hulk's in the bottom. They're trying to get like a jar of cookies on top of the fridge.
Those are funny.
But like he's really inventive with his art and writing. I've never read anything that he's written, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Rocket Raccoon could be kind of comical and silly. I'm hoping for a mix of like SpongeBob with a lot of murder.
It's smart too. You got the movie coming out that they're dropping the trailers, and now everybody's like, "Oh, I don't know who these people are. You want to get into it? Here you go. The character that everybody's most excited for is now."
Could you guys imagine earlier this year saying like, "Oh, hey, later on this year we're gonna be reading Magneto, Silver Surfer, and Rocket Raccoon." So look out, guys! I'm so excited for this. It's gonna be good. Like, and Magneto starts soon. We're gonna get to that, but this is a lot of new, fresh stuff. When the last time it's happened?
It's again where Marvel is just so. It kills me to have to keep constantly saying Marvel's better, but they're better.
Yes, they are.
Like they're doing everything. Like when DC did their new 52, it was really smart.
Right.
And they relaunched and they made it very accessible. People say, hey, there's no more 50 years of stuff you have to know. Just start. Everything's number one. But now they've done so much world building that 3 years later, not even 3 full years later, you're like, shit, this is all super intricate. If you're not reading this and you don't know what this happened in, you're still lost. Where
Right.
Marvel is constantly like, here's a new number one, here's new series. Oh, there's a movie coming out? Let's put our character that we want you to care about front and center in a book. Whereas DC, what did they do? When The Dark Knight was out, oh, Batman was dead.
Right.
Well, that's real goddamn smart.
Well, too, with Marvel, they do the .net. So whenever a new arc comes into play, they're like, oh, well, if you bought this, here's the code,
Right.
redeem it digitally, and then there you go. Now you have the first
You're just
one.
going to get me on another rant now about how shitty DC is with the digital.
But
Because why there's not a DC Unlimited or whatever they call it is a travesty. There's just as much content.
Well,
they do it
it's
digitally.
probably an
too.
archiving issue, but we won't go into that.
But no, I loved it. I did
You're getting
the
all
Nova
fired
this
up
week,
here.
too.
It's
That's
it, man. It's not me.
No, you take
You started us down this road.
I'm just reading the news.
Shut
I'm
up, boy.
hosting this show. Whatever. Drink your beer. Hate on your DC. It's a new
I
age.
want to
brother.
love them.
It's a new age. Indie and Marvel unite.
Why do they think
You still got the Batman series though. Everybody's jumped onto that one.
Right, yeah.
It blew
You
my
know
mind
what?
the other
For
day,
as much
though.
as you can hate on Marvel and how good like indie and Marvel and apps and electronics are, you got Batman. So you
I
gotta
know,
win
but
on
you know
that.
what really brought this all to a head is I was doing my list for like when the new series launched, so I can give my local guy so I know what's pulled for me. I can't remember the last time I had more Marvel books in DC, and that's the case right now.
Yeah.
Did you go in with shame? Like, I'm sorry.
I haven't even given it. I couldn't do it. I'm still mentally preparing myself.
Maybe I should just buy some shitty.
I looked through the DC like catalog again and go, there's got to be another one. There's got to be more.
Well, the only
Just
DC book I'm investing in is Red Lanterns.
You should be into Batman, but you're doing that in trades.
Right,
No, I
I'm
think
doing
I'm gonna
Batman.
pull that one. I think I'm gonna break that one after this week because that's
It's
gonna
too
get.
goddamn.
Yeah, I can't deal with waiting and the spoilers. It's like
Trades
Death of the Family. Reading that just without anything issue to issue, or I feel like would have been the best.
Yeah.
The hardcover is fucking awesome. In fact, it's so good I would buy both. But
Right.
That's what I'm waiting for. Is I think they're gonna do like the big, huge omnibus, or at least the oversized collections. I'm gonna.
yeah,
Speaking of DC announced that they're going to be doing 3D covers for their second year in a row in their September event later on. You were talking about this with the other comics, but they're going to flash forward to future characters.
Yeah, what they're doing is in May they're doing a series called Future's End,
Okay.
and it's gonna be mainly dealing with what's happening 5 years in the future. So that series is gonna be running on its own as a weekly, and then in September, every book that's currently being published at that time is going to flash forward 5 years into the potential possible futures for, so like Superman 5 years, Batman 5 years, Wonder Woman 5 years.
Okay.
And they're going to show you like a little like, this is where they might be 5 years from now. And every cover is going to be like a 3D movement. So they're going to show, they have one online, we'll put it up on Alpha. It's like Superman doing the classic pose, and then you turn it and it goes to him in like all cyborg, like half robotic.
Oh, nice.
So every cover is going to be that, because that killed for them when they did it last year in September.
Dude, I hope
they were oversized. I'm sorry, not oversized, overpriced. They were $1 extra each, and they did insane sales.
Hopefully, this could pick up on the market you're talking about now. You know, maybe it'll get us buying some more of them. I'd buy that cover. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Unless you're Cyclops. 3 doesn't work when you're Cyclops.
Yeah, this is funny.
What's the difference? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know what.
It's still blurry.
Screw the damn thing. Oh, Cyclops. You silly lasers.
Silly
Silly
Cyclops.
Cyclops. And this is gonna spin a new series. This is the.
Yeah, they're gonna have 3 weeklies
Wow.
this year. So they're doing Batman Eternal, which I spoke about 2 weeks ago. Where they showed like this is what's going to happen in like the middle of the story. So they're going to do a weekly Batman called Batman Eternal. The series in the future, Future's End, and then the October one they haven't announced what it's going to be, what it's going to be called, any details besides in October it's happening.
Right.
And this is, I mean, production-wise, we talk a lot about how Marvel's crazy with doing like double shipping. 3 weeklies? That's insane.
I know. Well, it goes right into like me buying DC stuff. Not gonna go just jump on it because I don't have $100 to catch up.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I crushed my bank account catching up for Red Lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
It was worth it. It was awesome. Except for the one Supergirl book I bought.
Silly Supergirl. Red Lantern. Cal's got some news about the Flash. New costume was in there.
Yeah, it was weird. They were like costume reveal. I'm like, oh shit. and it's just a side view, and just like from the neck up.
But it's also so dark. You still don't.
Yeah,
You can't see anything.
The only thing you can really be like, ooh, okay, is they have the wings, like the ear wings. But other than that, it kind of looks like Captain America, like that.
That's the thing I was thinking.
But just like not even red, like burgundy. Like I don't know. And it's
Color
leather. I'm
I
like,
don't know the difference.
I don't know.
I'm like,
No,
how is running in leather gonna be comfortable?
I don't know. I actually
Like
like it
super
because
chasing is gonna be going on.
I feel like this is one of the first characters to actually embrace the costume because it is the costume. It's the same guy. Even with Green Arrow, it's close, but it's still just the hood up. And I guess it's the same person who's doing the the costume director.
I would assume
Colleen
so.
is her name, but
Oh yeah,
it's actually. No, but it's actually the first thing like when you read a comic and it's like stunts, and here you go, throw it in there. Like it's actually, I'm pretty excited to see if like the whole suit is all skin tight and red and gonna be doing that. Because
it's probably gonna be kind of like the.
Man of Steel came out though. It was always like, oh, it's kind of armor, even though he doesn't need armor.
I don't know. It just seems weird. But the Flash really is a difficult costume to render into like reality.
Right. I mean, it's skin tight.
Yeah.
Hey. I'm not gonna be wearing that anytime soon. I wouldn't say that much.
Oh, I got my costume back there already. I'm gonna go put it on later.
Ooh, gross. You're having with me right now.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really care for Arrow so much. I've tried. So I don't know how much I'm gonna really like the Flash. I'll probably watch at least the premiere.
Right. Maybe it's something cool to get into if you don't, if you don't watch Arrow right now. It's on CW. It's on Hulu, and you can also see it on Netflix. So either subscription will work for that. Probably find the episodes on.
I have heard that season 2 is a lot better than season 1. I haven't seen any season 2. I don't know about season 1.
I'm excited for the Flash. I'm gonna check this out just for the beer. Like, oh, it'll give me something to look forward to while I wait for the freaking Marvel Netflix originals. Speaking of weekly DC and 52 and common things, we're gonna get you into Kyle's recommendation for this week, and it's a doozy. You better prepare yourselves for a whole year.
Prepare your wallet. So, based on the weekly, we always try and tie in the news or some kind of topic we touched on. So, my recommendation this week is a series called 52. This series was the first weekly that DC did back in 2006. It spun out of the Infinite Crisis crossover. Basically, the end of the crossover damaged, in a personal way, all the Trinity of heroes. So Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, all had some kind of real personal stake loss.
Right.
They took a year where they just said, we're done. Wonder Woman went off, Batman went off, Superman went off. And they were not in DC world. All the regular books skipped over that year and went a year ahead. But this book, 52, chronicled what happened during that year when, the main guys in the DC world were gone.
Excellent. And
it showcased heroes that you wouldn't normally see in a book. And Booster Gold was a big thread through it, and Animal Man, and Starfire, and it really showed a lot of heroes you wouldn't normally see, and a lot of stories you wouldn't normally see. And it told through a weekly story just this whole year that was lost in the DCU. And it had a lot of big name writers.
Sounds to me a little bit like Kingdom Come, like maybe.
A little bit.
Just like the epic, like Superman's.
Oh, it was really great, and it's writers that back in the day were good, but now, like we talk about all the time, like Jeff Johns, huge at DC.
Right.
Mark Waid, we praise pretty much weekly. Grant Morrison, which we haven't talked about too much here, but if you know anything about comics, even if you don't, he's a name you need to know.
For sure.
He's up there with like an Alan Moore level of fan respect, so certainly good. And Greg Rucka, who I kind of praise with Punisher, we talk about him, he's doing the Cyclops book that's coming up. And these guys just wrote like this epic story over 52 issues, never missed 1 week, and just built and built and built and built, and it kind of brought back the multiverse in DC, which is now looming large with Forever Evil.
Yeah, see, I love this. I love that though. Like those are the kind of books that and they're the only ones that really comic books could ever do, where they're just gonna go, okay, so here's our big three. What are we gonna do? They're just gonna take them away and really showcase these other characters, and they just allow that whole time and just pull them to the forefront. And that's why I love the Hawkeye books and She-Hulk that are coming out now, Loki, Punisher, all these novels that we're talking about that's what with Marvel. They're really taking these secondary characters and giving them a whole.
Right, they're showing why they
52.
matter.
Yeah.
52 sounds awesome. You told me about this before when we were casually talking about like weekly comics. Something comes out every week. You're like, oh, this is the one that really did. But I like to borrow some of those, so like we should get like buy some trade somewhere.
And if you out there in watching land are interested, the nice thing about this is the digital and the print price are really not very different. It really just depends on your format preference.
I think you get a lot of them for 50 cents.
They're $1.99. The first issue is free on the DC app and Comixology. The rest are $1.99. And then if you want to get the massive like phone book sized tome of 1,200 pages on Amazon, it breaks down to approximately the same price. So the nice thing is if you want a nice big fat hardcover, you're not going to spend any more. If you want to get them all digitally, not that expensive.
Well, you can budget yourself digitally. Buy one issue a week like they normally were released, and just. Because it sounds like a lot of money.
No.
I have to finish.
All at once, oh my god.
Sounds like a lot though, but when you really do that once a week, when they actually come out,
right?
It's $2 a week is
not bad.
Less than a cup of coffee. I don't think you can go to McDonald's.
Okay. Okay, Stanley Strawberries. It's down now here with the price of a cup of coffee a day.
Oh, no,
less
I'm
than the
guilty.
price of a cup of coffee. You can read
I'm
this.
guilty of thought, like, oh yeah, what's this? Injustice and Red Lantern. I'm gonna get into all of these.
Can we have Sarah McLachlan playing over this?
I don't see why not. Actually, now we don't need to. Kyle just sang it for us.
Pictures of puppies up here. For the price of a cup of coffee, you could buy me a 52 weekly issue. I could catch up finally. Well, that was fun. It was a nice little cup of coffee. Fun. Anyway, good recommendation, dude. Check it out. 52. I will be reading this one. Some years I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. But Enemy of the State a couple weeks ago, boom, you were right. Awesome book.
I would never leave your astray, Joe.
Especially with that shark animal.
Ooh, sharks lead people astray though often. But that's a story of another color. Next week we have Epic Week. This is when Kyle came over today, I was like, damn you, today's the first week I'm gonna be like broke and
now you know pain.
Everything comes out in 1 week. Yeah, it's gonna be horrible. As a joke though, I said that I wouldn't be reading anything because South Park Stick Truth comes out on Tuesday, so I'm probably just gonna be playing that video game. It's gonna be hard. This is the first week I have to juggle video game playing and comic.
No, it's actually a tough month because a lot of video games are just coming out.
Sorry
to break that, but
yes,
Titanfall, Infamous, Second Son, and Stick of Truth.
Yeah, dude, Stick of Truth. Had this game pre-ordered for a year. Sorry, mixed it up.
Very close to buying a PlayStation 4.
This week though, we have some great stuff coming out. I'm gonna jump on board with She-Hulk. I'm gonna buy number 1 and number 2 after I read the critic reviews. No offense, you guys gave it some pretty good reviews, but now that I read what the people
I understand. We're not critics.
I had to jump on board.
We're internet morons. We don't know anything.
Punisher number 3 comes out next week already, which I'm psyched.
Yeah, there it is. Pumping those out. Jesus.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it was like yesterday you were telling me about 2.
Right. I'm excited, man. Read it. It's a good book.
It was actually last week.
God is Dead number 8's coming out next week already too. That's the one that's coming out a little bit too fast for me. Dark Horse comic, one of their big releases that's been like on the upcoming Indie Warriors, all the preview books I'm reading. That's Veil, number 1. Kind of cool, like demon story. It looks awesome. Magneto, number 1. Can't fucking wait. And Loki, Agent of Asgard, number 2. That was one of the best number 1s I read previously, so I'm really excited. And the book that I've been reading, total indie publisher, but Twilight Zone comic, number 3's out. And good time to jump on if you want a crazy story.
Or if you just like Twilight Zone.
Dude, Twilight Zone, the comic though, is like American Psycho meets like body swapping. It's awesome. Really weird, like corporate story. I love where it's going. It's a longer book. Every time it comes out, it's like 40 pages. So I kind of like that about it.
Well, I gotta say, I think Kyle and I should actually just join up because we have the exact same list.
Right.
Essentially, yeah.
Save yourself some money.
I went more Marvel. The only difference between Kyle and I that I have is I have Loki number 2.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited because when the issue 1 came out, it was the first book that I read that was in the first issue that just on the first book sucked me in. I was like, I want to know where this series is going. Like
that last page really did it.
Yeah.
Issue 1, Loki, dude. One of the best issue 1s that I've read in a while.
It was just really fun, you know. You have Thor and Loki having a drink before Thor lets him go, and all that, and it's like you start to see that like Loki, as a younger himself, is being tricked by his older self, because he's the trickster god, and it's
Right.
like, holy hell, this is gonna be fucking awesome.
I can't wait, dude.
And then Kyle's got one difference for me, which is
Yeah, both Nick and I are looking at Moon Knight and Magneto.
Moon Knight.
Two number ones are just going to be killer from Marvel. My difference, we touched on earlier, Forever Evil number 6, the penultimate issue. The word does not get used often enough. Penultimate.
Penultimate.
Supposedly, this issue is going to show the fate of Nightwing. We touched on this a couple issues or episodes ago. Might be dead. We're going to find out, I guess.
We're gonna have to start calling out the podcast issues and episodes of our comic books.
I know.
see it.
They're so interchangeable. Because you know what? They write things like TV now.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, with all the relaunches in Marvel, like new number ones and new storylines from Marvel now, it's almost like season 2.
There's a lot of relaunches going on. Fantastic Four, obviously.
But it's so smart.
Yeah.
It is.
Like, it just gets people in. And something I didn't find a good place to talk about, so I'll just throw it in there now. We were talking before about the dot and grade thing. Something they're doing that I think is really crazy. With Avengers number 27, they're giving away a completely different issue for free in the digital code.
Oh. Yeah.
One of the number
That's
ones that we didn't talk about is All New Invaders. It's Captain America, Winter Soldier, Submariner, and the Human Torch, like the original, not the Fantastic Four one.
The FF.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Not the FF one. The one that was like a robot from like back in World War II.
Well, they called it the FF because it was like it's not Fantastic Four, but it's some other.
No, this is
acronym
completely
called FF.
different from
Oh, it's
Fantastic Four at
different.
all.
Right.
But they're giving away that issue for free, and then with Superior Spider-Man 30, they're giving away Black Widow number 1.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if you buy the actual physical issue, and there's a little code in there, you get the issue you bought, and a completely different issue for free.
Digital.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that they're doing that right now.
Yeah, so it's the same thing with them now. So you buy you get the first one. Like basically it's an amazing. It's not like
It's just
I like
marketing.
digital.
It's fantastic.
Well, it's the thing is that I like digital, but at the same time, if I buy this book, I also get my digital copy. It costs the same, and I get more. So
Right.
like, well, why wouldn't you? You know?
For sure, dude. I mean,
And it gets more eyeballs on these other series.
But
Plus, it also supports your local comic book shop,
Right.
which are also a business. And if you like, if you like reading comics and want to keep it going, go to your shop and buy them.
we talked about Magneto, and this is going to be the book that I think we're going to talk about most next week. But we're all pretty excited for Magneto. Stay tuned for that.
Moon Knight really hooked me. Like, especially once I saw Warren Ellis is a great writer, and I was pumped for him. But when I saw the art,
Right. I'll have to read it.
it's so crazy.
I mean, if you guys are both buying it, I'll probably read one.
Obviously, everybody should definitely be buying it.
Well, we're already buying a lot, dude. To get a lot of stuff.
We'll make sure you do.
Yes.
We'll hook you up.
Moon Knight, Magneto.
If you're not
Loki,
buying, make sure a friend you know is buying it.
Right. March 5th. It's a good week. A couple other good weeks in March too. We're really picking up. It's a good time to get into this. So,
March and April are going to be big.
There's a
Two
lot
big
of,
ones.
once again, just more, especially with Marvel first issues.
Number
down.
ones.
There's a lot of number ones.
and then Guardians of the Galaxy right around the corner, and then Days of Future Past right after that.
But first,
Captain America.
Captain America.
Captain America.
Winter Soldier.
It's amazing how much this movie got overshadowed by these trailers.
By one
for
trailer, I
A
know.
lot of people agree that Captain America was one of the best first run Avengers.
I'm putting it on there right now. It's
It's
going to be
my
the best one of this.
I think so.
For Phase 1, Captain America was my favorite of all of them.
Winter
Chris
Soldier
Evans
is going to be
killer.
better than every other comic book movie that comes out this year.
I can't. We had so much though. I mean,
It's going to be a long one too. They released a runtime, and it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes
right.
because it's just packing in so much story.
It
And
just
that's what I'm
made
really pumped for. Is just the Winter Soldier storyline in the comics. Amazing.
Oh, that was a great book, dude. That's the point of this podcast. If you're out there and you like these movies casually, if you're like, oh, I really like Captain America. It was a cool movie. Like, start watching us. Start reading these books. They're cheap. You can get them online. You can ask us. You can comment. We will show you the way. Like, all you know now.
It's very closely into the comics. So almost everything you've seen in the movie, you're like, yeah, it's awesome. I can point to a comic where like this is where they got that.
Well, it's the same thing not only with Marvel, but Netflix that just came out with Justice League War. That was the first trade of Justice League that Kyle got me for Christmas. It was the same thing. The only difference was Aquaman was in it over Shazam. Yeah.
DC's killing the animated movies. They do a pretty good job.
Yeah, their straight to video is just so untouchable.
Pretty amazing.
Well, it's the same thing. If you like those, there you go. It's the same.
Yeah, whatever you're reading out there, whatever you're watching, just keep it locked to open the podcast. That's the whole goal. Next week, stay tuned. Obviously, we're excited about this. We're already geeking out.
We have tons to talk about next week.
Yeah. Watch for next week's episode. It's going to be killer. Moon Knight, Magneto. Oh my god, so much. Keep it locked here. Guys, as always, thanks for watching on the Spin Off Podcast. I'm Joe Face LKPT. This is Big Wild 82.
I am Nick Schneider, 7.
7. Not 6, not 8, number 7.
There's an underscore in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I bet you can't guess where.
Hey, where's the underscore? Try to block it out when you superimpose it on the annotation.
That's what happens when you try and join Twitter way too fucking late.
Yeah, way too drunk. It's like your Twitter name is like your buying power. It's like you're you get drunk and you buy stuff and then you the receipts. Like you get the items weeks later. Like,
yeah, but it's
hey,
a lot.
Mario shirt.
It's a lot better though when you get so drunk that you don't even know, and then all of a sudden, oh, sweet, a package from me. What is it? An awesome T-shirt.
Surprise! Yay! Seriously, get your Twitter name. Keep it locked here. Help the source, guys. Thanks a lot. As always. See you next week. I got a good day.
Thanks, guys. See ya.